What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 326 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR. I'm joined by my co-host, Alex.
Hello.
I kind of went into like a mumble there.
It's okay.
I don't know. I thought it would be sound cool, but it didn't. We're just gonna roll with it. Joining us this week, it's like a second appearance in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is? Was it 3 weeks ago? Something like that? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. So this is the third.
Our good pal John.
Hey, what's up?
Is back in studio because we got important stuff to talk about. John, last time you were here, just 2 short weeks ago, we were talking with Josh and Sarah, nailed it, of 5 Points Festival, hyping up the show, giving people about 24 hours notice to listen to the show and then decide they wanted to go to New York. But they were still really cool and gave us some time, despite the fact that they were mere hours away from having to put on a weekend-long event.
Mm-hmm.
You guys then subsequently went to 5 Points Festival.
Mm-hmm.
You have thus come back from 5 Points Festival, and now you're here to tell me all about it. I was chilling. I was doing yard work. And you guys were out having a good time. You did the 1 day thing. It's like what we do for New York Comic Con.
I think that was good.
Drive up hella early.
1 day was good.
And then
Yeah.
I'm anxious to hear about it. I'm gonna let you guys take it away. I'll chime in with a question every now and then. But what happened at 5 Points?
So since the other episode was more about the show itself and what we will see there and how it started, what went on, and now that we've been there and we found a bunch of stuff, we met a bunch of people, we're more going to talk about my mic stand squeaked, sorry. We're more going to talk about like who we met, the vendors that we encountered, and the artists that make the things who, we saw their stuff, what we liked.
Very cool things.
Because now like we have a better idea, we have more experience of what was there. Whereas before, like I'd scan the website and go to their Instagram page and be like, okay, I guess that looks neat.
And stuff that we saw other people posting.
Yeah, yeah. But like seeing in person and like meeting them and hearing their pitch, that was all. Here's what we're going to talk about. That's mostly what it's going to be. Thanks
Strap
again to Sarah and Josh. We got to meet Miranda, who Josh said was like the driving force behind putting the show together.
Everybody was like very, very cool. They were like, "I'm glad you're here," and then we said, "Well, we're glad we're here." And they seemed like they were at once paying attention to us, but also paying attention to 5,000 other things.
Yeah.
So they were like spinning a lot of plates all at once. Mm-hmm. That was very nice of them to even glance at us while trying to not.
To be honest, of everything they had going on and all the names that Sarah had to have known between artists who were there and whoever's on staff, and then like just see me, and I was wearing an OMV shirt, and she saw me, remembered my name, remembered John's name, had our passes ready for us before we even said hello, like that, just the effort. And she, heard us, met us 3 days before that. So that was really cool. That's the kind of like staff you're going to encounter there. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I liked was their program, because we got our passes. We stepped aside for a bit because we still had some time to wait until the doors opened. And we started flipping through the program, and I posted a picture of it. I did. On the Instagram, was how they have this little dictionary within the program. And that was really neat. And I dug it, and like it gave you the general terms, a lot of the stuff that you'll find inside. And like a dummy, one of my first thoughts was, oh man, this should be online somewhere. Like they should put this in like but it's way cooler that I'm holding it in my hands.
Yeah, it's like a little handy guidebook as you're going through the convention, what does Sofubi mean? What is like other terms? I have it in my hand. I should be doing this.
Like the open edition, and like there's a whole section on blind boxes and bootleg
what
figures.
What is a custom? Stuff like that.
It was pretty neat, and it gave you something to do while you waited in line, or once you got inside waiting for a panel or wanted to have a seat and chill out, while you could hang out and wait while watching some of the graffiti happen outside, because they had some graffiti contests, which was really neat to watch, because it's interesting seeing like the progress come through of like what you think a graffiti artist used to be and like what they do now. And some just, walk up and start painting with their cans. Then one guy like puts on his bandana, and a different guy has a whole like face mask
Like a respirator.
Like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Has a whole respirator on because you got to take care of your health.
Yeah.
Who knows how long you'll be in front of
Get,
those
like,
these paint can fumes.
Get purple lung or something from the spray paint.
They were using a lot of green and purple.
Yeah, that seemed to be like the it's like use these two colors, do
Yeah.
whatever.
If
make
it works for
crazy.
Lex Luthor, you know.
Yeah, purple and green, man. All of the bad guys wear it.
That was neat. I have a bunch of tabs up of people that like I made note of. When I get to her, I'll find her again. But there was like one artist there who was like exclusively there for graffiti painting and that contest portion. John, where do we start?
Where do we start? How about
Let's hit up Super 7.
Sure. They're a cool company.
They had this neat little postcard
It's their mission
Explaining-
statement.
explaining what they like and what they do.
Let's see. Super 7, we grew up with giant monsters, comic books, punk, science fiction, science fiction, not punk science fiction. Skateboarding, robots, and rebellion. No one made what we wanted, so we made it ourselves. I mean, oh, and there's 10% off here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Don't read that out loud. No, it's all right. And that was neat. They did have like some modern updates or some that might have been original molds of different kaiju. Like I saw someone negotiating a price of Rodan.
Oh,
in there. Yeah.
Rodan, I believe they're giving him an ABC sitcom to replace the other one.
That was a good
Well,
one.
it's a topical joke. I'm sorry.
It would be more enjoyable, probably.
Um,
But they were
Even before like the horrible racism, I could never get into Roseanne.
mhm.
But I digest.
Wait, that's not. Oh man, you
first. Becky was my favorite.
Of course, yeah. That
Was
means
that
that's a
Scrubs
Roseanne
Becky?
thing.
Yeah, well,
Scrubs
yeah.
Becky. Okay.
Scruffy.
So people were haggling over prices of stuff.
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much haggling as like not everything was marked because some stuff might have had a different level of detail put into it, a different level of painting.
Because like older comics, you say, you didn't make that comic. Yeah, I bought this comic. I'm going to sell it to someone else for a profit. I imagine I can understand haggling there, but it's like, oh, you made this piece. I'm going to haggle you on it now.
I don't know if I'd be comfortable haggling with that sort of like artists. Like
Yeah.
I made just a short run of stuff.
This
I'd
is
be
the
like,
price, and that is the price.
Yeah.
You can buy it at this price.
I don't think it was so much the customer as like the guy offering.
Right.
Well, this would be this and this would be that. And
Gotcha,
But
gotcha.
it was a bunch of like Godzilla-esque monsters. That was all in a cool little stack. And there was a bunch of other stuff there that I can't even remember. But that's a neat thing. And if you go to their website, there's neat stuff to find on there too. From San Francisco, they came all the way.
They had a very tempting T-shirt, which was Skeletor's head, but as a Mad Ball, which is a '80s toy where the Mad Balls were just different monster heads,
Like
but,
gross out, like almost baseball sized.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember those.
and so that was fun. But
They had the T-shirt that I sent you a picture of. That had all the knocked out Mike Tyson.
Right,
characters.
from Punch Out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like all the different people that you would face in Punch Out in their
Order.
in their order, like, and their sprites were in their like knockout phase.
Yeah.
Like I'm on the ground and I'm being counted out. That was really neat.
I want to make sure Colin got that one too.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. If you listen to one of the first episode of Local Co-ops, was it Face? What they call it? I can't remember what they called it. I'm sorry,
Versus
guys.
mode?
Versus mode. That's probably what it was. Where they were discussing where they wanted extended universes, and Ken said Punch Out, Colin said Waluigi, and it's to this day one of the most hotly debated topics. Bring back LCO. Please do it, boys. I've been torturing them with that lately. But anyways,
I bought 2 prints from Motley Miscreations. They had one print for 50 and 2 for 20.
how can you?
that's a
I
good deal.
yelled at you.
That's a great deal.
If
It was one of those moments where Jar was about to say he'd be mad at me if I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do that deal.
They had a deep sea diver with a giant octopus attacking,
Oh yeah.
and I'm into divers and spacemen and whatnot.
Anything with a cool helmet, like
Most
a
likely, yeah.
pretty sick ass helmet.
Yeah. And then I was like, I might as well get the second one, and there was a really good illustration, or however he made it, of like a knight on horseback overlooking a field with decaying robots with like vegetation growing over them.
Mm.
It was like this is telling quite a story.
Yeah, you could do a creative writing prompt just off of that image. It'd be pretty cool.
That's it. I've been seeing those pop up a lot lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Babs, who's been on a couple times, shares them like from Reddit or whatever.
Cool.
It's like they'll give you like a paragraph, and it's like, now it's your story.
Writing
Like-
prompts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those
Pops
are
up on Reddit every now and
things
then.
that I kind of hated in high school.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of neat.
Well, like it dupes me, it bamboozles me because I'll be reading the thing, thinking it's and then I'll realize it's in the writing prompt subreddit. But like it's it's really popular, so it's on like one of the front pages.
Right.
So I'm reading this thing that sounds super interesting, and then
Uh-huh.
I find out that it's just a writing prompt.
She sent me one about a security guard at Disney.
Oh,
Yeah.
the animatronics come alive at night?
No, a family disappeared,
Oh.
but since you can track everything you do by
the magic bands.
the wristbands,
Yeah.
like Disney will be taking pictures of you anytime they sense your wristband.
Yeah.
And so like he couldn't find them. They weren't in their hotel room. This is all is way off topic.
Yeah.
But what he did find was like the things that take pictures of the It's a Small World ride,
Ooh,
like
yeah.
kept taking pictures of them after they went missing.
Ooh.
And he found like 800 like pictures of them
Yeah.
of like in different states of enjoyment, fury, rage, death. And then like they'd be okay again. And like the dad would be like slumped over dead, and the kids would just be happy, the mom's just happy. And it's as if they were riding the ride for like 6 days when they were missing for 3.
Weird.
Yeah, so it was just like, just like you said, I got like 3 paragraphs into it until I realized.
You ever want to be
This isn't
creeped out?
This is fiction.
Yeah.
Look up the pictures of what it looks like now, because it's like abandoned. Disney's first water park called, I think, River Country.
Oh, I've been to that.
They can't have it open anymore because it uses natural water, and Florida was like, you can't do that because of the parasites in the water. So all of their
That
water
explains
parks
a lot
now,
about me now.
Yeah, it does. But all their water parks use like chlorinated water. But River Country was like, it was a natural watering hole,
Like a
and-
beach,
Yeah, but
only inland.
yeah, and it's like you want to be. It's just creepy to see abandoned theme park stuff. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was my first really tall zip line
Okay.
into the water.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably
It was fun.
not safe anymore.
It wasn't. Not at all. Not at all.
Like they were famous for like their slides would end and then there would be a big drop to the water.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ooh,
It was great.
That's not safe, Disney.
Okay.
Anyway,
back on topic.
Yes.
My Lamest Creations. There's also cool figures. What was like, I was there for the prince because I saw the picture,
Mm-hmm. R.I.P.
and it's something that I want. Something that I wanted. I wasn't really paying that much attention to their figures because there's just so many other figures going on. And they have neat stuff, but it just wasn't much that caught my eye. But like I said, I was distracted by the illustrated art rather than the figures.
And generally speaking, I don't think we've really hammered home or like illustrated with our words how overwhelming it was, and like there were so many cool figures from everybody, and like vinyl art toys or like art, whatever you want to call them, like
Yeah.
like designer toys.
Okay,
So like,
let's stick on that for a second,
yeah,
because there's a point we split up.
yeah,
I lost you,
yeah,
and then I did a few more laps, and I was like, I guess I'll go check out the press lounge,
yeah.
which is just like a room with a small bar and some tables and maybe chairs. And then I found John, and I was like, "Oh, hey, here you are." And John was like, "I needed a moment because my head was spinning."
It's like my head was swimming. It was like too much sensory overload. I had to just chill for a second.
It happens.
And yeah, take everything in at a little bit at a time.
I was it was more of what I expected.
Yeah,
I wasn't thrown off by it, but like, I'm kind of used to seeing some of the prices that were out there.
oh yeah,
And-
like the artist prices of like
Mhm.
a small run of toys.
Yeah,
yeah.
or even the one-offs, or
There was a
know.
cool one off. That guy who was making the this guy, I forget his name. I'm being bad at not remembering things, but he was making these He-Man sized G.I. Joes, but he was making like a proof of concept. A couple of them were Marvel characters, and he made one of a kind, like Ghost Rider.
yeah.
And I'm not normally a big fan of Ghost Rider, but like it was just cool. It was a guy with a flaming skull head,
Yeah.
and he looked like a He-Man sized character. I don't know, it was awesome. But yeah, you were not artist prices, I guess you call them, like one-off prices. But it was still pretty sick.
I was expecting a little bit more of like the glass display cases I might see at New York Comic Con,
Right.
with stuff like behind glass. I feel like I didn't do as much homework as I would for New York Comic Con, or if I went to the block section there
Right.
with their independent figures, because I didn't do that much exclusive hunting as I would in at other shows.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of lost for that. And I felt like everyone else who was there buying the right stuff knew more than me. And I and I was like, I don't know which one. What do I buy? I don't know what to buy.
Do you think it was a lot of flipping, or do you think it was just like, I like this, so I want to own it?
I'd say, if I had to guess, I'd say a mix of both.
Column B.
Probably a mix. Because I'm not sure if like
I don't normally do that.
the
so
difference
I'd normally
between
just, like, buy it for
fans that
myself.
would get their earlier on time or get their VIP badge.
Yeah.
So they could get the thing 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you wanted something, you had a chance to get it.
Yeah. That's true.
There wasn't like a very strong limitation on certain things. I didn't see anything like go out of stock like really early in the day and get lost. There's I wanted a thing from. I might come back to it later.
That you got me the pin from?
No, different cat. A lot of cat stuff.
Who knew?
Oh, speaking of cat stuff, I believe it was from the booth My Plastic Heart, but they had an exclusive to the con. It was from Max Toy Co. Makes a series of toys called Kaiju King Nagora, and it's what if a house cat was Godzilla. And so it's like a cat with his paws up, but he has giant spikes in the back and like 2 tails.
So it's what all cats think they are.
Yes, yes. And so they were selling one there, and it was like exclusive colors for the show. And it was like, oh, that's so cool. It's really fun. If you look it up, it's just really fun.
There's a couple of spots like My Plastic Heart, which My Plastic Heart is basically a vendor for many figures, and they had
Different
a lot of different
artists.
stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff there. But like if you went to the My Plastic Heart website, you could find most of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Strange Cat toys. Strange Cat had an Astro Boy statue, but like instead of flying and like shooting his butt guns or being a superhero robot child, he was just face planting. Like
It's
he
awesome.
fell out of the sky and just landed on his face. And they had a few statues of that. And I didn't pick him up early in the day, and I kind of regret it because by the time I went back ready to buy, they were sold out.
Missed out.
Yeah, I did. But that was from
Rookie
Strange
mistake,
Cat.
man. Just rookie mistake.
I was having trouble justifying it to myself to spend this much money on something, so I didn't. And I don't know if I'm going to regret that because there was something else. This guy in Spain makes some knockoff toys, and I don't know how much original sculpting is involved, but it's enough to make it really interesting. And the things that he was selling through a vendor was called the Who Cares Bears, and they were like these like very muscular He-Man like bears, but they were like ripped shirts, like very punk looking. And their symbol is not like a happy sun on their stomach, but it's brass knuckles. But like the vendor was saying, yeah, they're magnetic joints, so the magnets just go on to where the joints would be, and it's hand painted. And unfortunately, it was a little bit out of my price range, so I let it go.
I didn't see those.
There's only one. There was one there.
Didn't
And
see
I
that
was like,
one.
yeah, it was really fun. And you were scrolling on. Looking at all of them on your computer, and one that I saw was I'm not sure who makes it, but it's called a Goliathon, and it's those big apes that you just saw, the big orange ones, and they come in 2-headed ones, like you have them up right now, and like
The Planet X.
yeah, they're really cool, and I believe he's painted in Beastman colors from Masters of the Universe,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's huge, so he's gonna set you back a chunk of change, but like. It's pretty badass. Like I think those are imported from Japan or something. But like, so
It
much
is
cool stuff.
the Planet X Asia booth.
Yeah.
The pin we got JR was from the Scaredy Cat, and that was one of the few pins that he had, and like I recognized the name before I saw the pin because it wasn't visible, and I had to ask him for it.
Really?
Oh yeah,
So you went all out for this pin for me.
I did.
That's friendship right
It
there.
wasn't well. Like he had like one small spinner rack, like a tiny like 2-layer spinner rack, and it just wasn't facing out.
Because I
But if-
sent you guys. You guys show me a pin. It was of Meta Knight with the Jason mask on.
Yeah, and like
Yes.
holding a knife or a machete. Or
Yeah, and I wanted that. I wanted that pin, and you guys snagged it for me. And I come to find out I'm adding it to my pin collection because that's the type of person I am. I have my pins mounted in a shadow box.
Hey, that's cool, dude.
And my wife made me. She sewed the thing. It's neat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Come to find it, flip it over, go to put it in the thing. It's limited. It's numbered.
Nice.
46 out of 100. So
Nice.
top 50, top
Very
50%.
exclusive.
That's what's up. Very exclusive.
It, like, when I say it wasn't quite what I was expecting, because they have a lot of other art, and most of it is cats. And the guy draws a lot of cats as different things.
He's very good at drawing cats.
It is really good.
That is fantastic.
I'm
And
not the biggest cat fan, but like, he draws some cats like cats. They look exactly as they should. And others, like, he draws them like other things. He has cats wearing business suits, or cats as LA gangsters. He had a cat predator, like the alien, the Predator. Oh, one of his prints is a Rocky versus Dolph Lundgren.
Of course.
Both cats, though.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, there was a Genji cat from Overwatch, too.
Double experience weekend.
So if you're interested in seeing that, or like getting one of those pins, check out the_scaredycat_ or no, the_scaredy_cat. And that's
the_scaredy_cat.
correct.
Right.
Nice.
And that's on Instagram.
May I talk about one of the big toys of the show?
Of course.
I just found his Instagram. His name is Noir.
Like Noir.
It's Noir, but it's spelled NOIRNOUAR. And he's an LA-based, his thing says he's an LA-based painter and designer inspired by mid-century Americana and food, and that really shows through what he with what he was selling.
Oh, yep.
His big toy, and one of the big toys of the show, is something called Mr. Selfindulgence, which was like a big boy ad icon almost you'd see as like a advertisement from the 50s, or like in front of a diner. It was basically a fat, like pie-headed cartoon character, but he was called Mr. Self-Indulgence, so he had taken a piece of his head out and he was going to eat it. And he comes with a little Scoopy, which is a little I believe it's a little cup of ice cream with feet on it. What's his name?
Mr. Scoopy.
Yeah, Mr. Scoopy, or like, yeah,
Freshly baked.
So it was like one of the everybody, not everybody, but a couple booths had like that guy, and I think Martian Toys had like the main. That's where you went to go get it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the simoleons to buy it. But what I did get is that they had a wall of pins, and you could get a pin of Mr. Self-Indulgence's head and the corresponding pie piece to complete his head. And I just think it's really, really aesthetically pleasing, and it just harkens back to a very classic era of animation. So I really liked it. Yeah. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
It's a neat little pin. It's like both morbid and also
And adorable.
very well done.
Yeah. So yeah, his page is just littered with that sort of like thing, like the sort of like thing you'd see before like movies or drive-ins, when like let's all go to the movies, and you'd see like
the
like,
walking popcorn.
Yeah. What if those characters were like really effed up, and
Which they already are.
Yeah.
Mildly terrifying.
with their unblinking gigantic eyes.
They really like the movies. Wow, that is. Yep, that's a sexy tomato. We're showing everyone's showing
we're
each other
just-
things on phones. Is that a radish?
I think. I don't want to.
That's a lot of thing that you get from this show, though. Is stuff to show
that's-
people.
Stuff that's cute, but it's also disturbing. Like
Yeah,
So since we've only been reading these and reading the names out, I think the creator's a woman. I think
cool.
that's her.
that's awesome.
Like, that's her who I was showing you there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That
Which I
handle really made me laugh. Noir,
Yeah.
spelt phonetically the second time. But speaking of cute and disturbing,
Jared's right here, John. Jesus.
oh, I'm
Damn.
sorry. I thought he left. Like, have you seen how cute/disturbing he's looked recently?
I do get that a lot.
But I wanted to bring up a person I actually bought several things from. Her name is at least on Instagram. It could be Kelly Joe in real life, but her her @ is Jellyco, Koe, and I really loved her style. It was really cartoony and like fun and gross, but like cute gross.
Yeah.
And so she had like Prince pins, like little stuffed animal things. Like I got a like little punk looking Frankenstein who's vomiting.
The vomit really got me.
Little pillow.
Yeah, little pillow, little plush pillow, and I got a Bob's Burgers pin and a print and a. So she had little monster pins and cute. I got a cute mummy pin that glows in the dark, but the gross part is that he's not wrapped all the way around. His mummy wrappings have fallen off, and I didn't notice until after I had bought it, and that's okay. Because it's funny, but his little like wiener is hanging out, and I thought that was a very subversive touch.
It's probably a real problem that one might experience.
If you're a mummy.
Have you ever tried to like wrap up you or your friend with toilet paper, like for a school game or whatever, like a field game or whatever?
It gets tricky at the joints.
Yeah,
so.
you gotta hold it tight. You gotta hold it tight, but then not tear it. It's not easy to do.
Yeah, not
It's
easy.
It's not.
It's almost like it's not the ideal
Right.
medium to use to wrap someone in.
Oh yeah. You probably want linen.
Just one
The,
strip of cloth over and over again.
You probably want linen, he says. The pin game. We had discussed.
Can I say, John mentions like the style was very cute. It was a very versatile style because, like John said, he got a Bob's Burgers print. If you flip through the print folder, there's also Addams Families.
Mm-hmm.
Still in this style, but you immediately recognize who it is. And this
Exactly.
kept going all the way through. Like almost any genre you could think of, they had like a group from
like
sci-fi or horror or comics. Or
very
whatever.
like genre movies like Beetlejuice and like stuff like that. Like,
but then in her style.
yeah, in her very very appealing
And that was
cartoony
fun.
style. Yeah,
That was fun.
Pretty awesome.
We had
So-
discussed a couple weeks ago about how enamel pins, and we even discussed this like a couple of years ago, enamel pins are taking over the world. What was the scene like at 5 Points?
I don't think Frombie does figures anymore. Because
Fromby? Question mark.
Friendly Zombies.
Friendly zombie. Okay.
Fromby, they do a lot of vinyl figures
Okay,
and
cool.
toys.
Cool.
Or resins or
I
whatever.
think
Yeah,
you
yeah.
showed me what like there's like a topiary zombie. That
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have
yeah.
a tiny one that it was like a Fromby. I bought it at Eric Scarecrow's booth. Apparently, it was a Fromby Eric Scarecrow mashup. It's the first ever vinyl or resin collectible that I ever owned. 'Cause it was small and cheap. But they just do pins because I see their pins all the time at New York Comic Con.
Oh yeah,
they're
a huge setup of
Yeah.
of pins.
Pins
also,
are cool.
you could trade them their own pins to get like limited ones back.
like Penny Arcade
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah. But instead of it's an entire convention, it's just one booth that you buy them at. But they had like one table with a whole bunch of pins at it. I want to say the booth that was selling the Mr. Self-Indulgence
Had a cool, very cool wall of pins. They had like a couple. They had a pretty good deal. We get like 3 of them for like whatever they were charging, like 10 a piece or something.
There was a really wide selection.
Yeah.
Like when we say a wall, there was a stand with like a closed case, and I gotta say it was at least like 10 across
and they were all numbered.
by maybe like 30 down or so.
A lot
So
of pins.
what's that multiply to? 300?
10 times 30 is 300.
Something like that. I feel like that's what was in this case, unless I just don't. It's been 2 weeks. Let's see. I got myself some Krampuses.
Of course.
There was a 2-color version.
I regret not getting these.
Is
They're
it
very
Crampi?
neat. Maybe it's like sheep. Like there's 5
It's
Krampus
just
over there.
Krampus.
There's 5
Yeah, yeah.
Krampus. How many Krampuses?
Depends on how bad you are.
How many birch branches do they have?
Or how large you are.
Yeah.
Need multiple
to
baskets.
take you down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. On this card is Anthony Respect from Respect Graphics. And that's why I bought them from. I also spotted he had a really cool figure that he had repainted of Conan. He had put the... Yeah, I asked the how much question, and then I said, thank you for telling me the price of that. But he
I did a lot of that.
he sculpted a sword for this figure. It was the correct Conan sword. And he put him in the black camo when they raid Thulsa Doom's cave temple
Of course.
with a bunch of blood splatter. Reminisce. Like, an example of that is the single Funko Pop that I own that Colin got me. It's basically that, but as a different vinyl figure. And this guy, had to hand make the.
Don't you
the
also
sword.
own a Hulk Funko Pop figure?
I don't actually own that one. It's for
Hey,
sale.
if you want, I could customize that to make it Solomon Grundy.
That one
That'd be
was
pretty
found.
cool.
The Hulk.
Yeah, same character, except
know,
Solomon
it's
Grundy
not that
appeared
important to
20
me.
years earlier.
It's really not that.
I only take it if he
special.
was born on a Tuesday.
Okay.
I don't think there's any of those.
Well, then I don't want it.
Who's they to die on?
Terrible jokes aside,
Solomon.
pins seem to be everywhere.
which is cool.
A lot of pins.
It's a very cool way to.
It's would you say like did you ever find yourself like, I really like this pin, I'm probably gonna buy it, I'm gonna hold off for now in case I see something else I like?
I didn't,
because there's that many pins.
I saw a bunch and like none of them really ran out of ones that I wanted. But there were moments where it's like, I need to have this now.
Right.
Then there's ones where it's like, I might come back to this later.
Yes.
So it was definitely a bit, a bit
It wasn't
of both.
flooded. Like the market wasn't.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
No, there wasn't too many at any given point.
There wasn't like 15 booths of Beanie Babies or stuff like that. That's just, you said flooded, it made me think of that. So
I used to watch QVC just to watch the Beanie Baby stuff. I leaned hard into Beanie Babies when I was a kid.
Really?
It's one of the aside from this soundboard right here, it's one of the only things that I've ever bought out of like a personal ad. I bought a Beanie. Me and my mother met a woman at a McDonald's, and I bought a Beanie Baby off of her.
It's like a drug deal.
Wow. Love that Beanie Baby. It was Peace Bear.
Okay.
It was one of the bears. The bears were the hard to find ones.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways, continue.
What was I going to say? Oh, the one that I had to buy. Like the thing you said, like I could come back later or I had to buy it. I had to buy this booth. I wish I could remember where it was or what their name was. But they were selling some Venture Brothers pins that made me gravitate toward them.
Yes, they were right up front.
But when I saw what else they had, I was like, I think I want this more. They had a pin of the monorail from The Simpsons with the monorail salesman in front of it, and I was like,
Can you take 45 seconds and explain the monorail joke to me? I don't get it.
The monorail episode is one of my favorite episodes from The Simpsons. It's hilarious.
This fast-talking salesman shows up. And
it's like the Music Man.
Your street's got too many potholes in it.
What you need is a monorail, friend.
Does he sell the town a monorail?
He does.
Yes, he does.
And it's a big, giant scam.
And
it's like, mono means one, and rail means rail.
And it's like...
and like the whole town starts singing along in this
like
song with them, but like one person doesn't get it. And they're like
Marge. Just like,
is it Lisa? Lisa's like, this is stupid. We don't need a monorail.
Marge stands up. She's like, well, Main Street's all cracked and broken. And then Bart goes, sorry, Mom. The mob has spoken. and that was an episode written by Conan O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Forgot he used to be a writer on that show.
Yeah, it's one of the best episodes.
And then like the song, as the song goes, what's that spell? Monorail.
It's just fantastic. The whole
So you got a monorail pin?
I did, yes. I did.
And they only had one Brock Samson pin left. And if I bought one of the set, because like you could buy like the two henchmen from Venture Brothers, they had a
2-pack of Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch and the Monarch, and it was fantastic.
And the robot, what was the robot's name?
Oh, Helper. And they
They had a helper bot.
Oh, what's his name? He's like, my name is Dr. So-and-so, and this is my magical murder bag.
Magical murder bag.
What is his name?
Dr.
Henry Killinger.
Killinger.
Instead of Kissinger.
You know what? Speaking, you guys talking about this, and I'm hoping that someone out there who has the capabilities is listening. These Venture Brothers pins sound great. I never really got into Venture Brothers, though, but there is one cartoon that I definitely got into hardcore and is actually making a resurgence.
Oh,
and if they made pins of it, if they made Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law pins,
yes,
I would buy the entire set.
Yes,
that's
Mentalk,
a sale.
Reducto, like all of them.
Peanut, Birdman,
Judge Mitor,
X, the Eliminator.
But like what you're saying, you want all of them. That's why I didn't buy any of the Venture Brother pins. Because if I got just one, I would want the entire set.
Yep.
And like that'd be throwing down like $100 maybe.
Worth it.
You may proceed, Mr. Birdtooth.
even like deep cuts, like Elliot.
Elliot,
he was the deadly duplicator, voiced by Louis Black.
Oh, okay.
And it's spelled his name with 2 L's and 2 T's.
He's a duplicator. Or Shadow the Brain Thief, who just screams at you telepathically at all times. It's like, could you stop it?
I love that show so much.
I almost bought a comic book, but I passed.
Okay. Was this at 5 points?
Yeah.
Or was this somewhere else?
No, this is at 5 points. I came really close. I did buy a sticker of the Gill Man like riding a bicycle that's like a pontoon bicycle.
The Gilman.
Yeah.
Yep.
The creature from Black Lagoon. Daniel Alexander Stebbins, danxzander.com, had a comic book called Bike Explosion. And it's all about like riding bicycles and making them really cool.
Of course.
And like I came really close. One of my favorite things that I have enough bags. I don't need more bags. if I was minus like one bag at home, I would have bought his Nosferatu. It was Nosferatu.
It would go well with your Edgar Allan tote.
My Edgar Allan my polka dot bag.
Right.
Oh,
Yep.
It's polka
man.
dots. And that was from the Edgar Allan Poe Museum.
Back in the day.
Philadelphia? Is that in Philadelphia?
They had a booth at World's Fair, which is never going to happen again.
Okay.
But it was Nosferatu riding a penny farthing, one of the big wheel, small wheel.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he was on a tote bag, Nosferatu.
A penny farthing for your thoughts.
So look at Bike Explosion. That looked like a lot of fun. I don't know. I might regret not getting it, but that was a comic that I almost came close to. One comic that I did buy was Goofy Fruit, because that had a really fun pitch by the guy behind the booth. I also got some stickers.
Oh yeah, talk about this guy. This guy's awesome.
And like I'm flipping through it, and he's like, "Oh, that's like Mr. Banana and his superpower is business." Like I was like 50% sold by that explanation alone.
He has a very healthy attitude, I think, with the people calling themselves artistes. And like, he's very irreverent, which I like.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Did you talk to him too? Or?
No, from just what you were telling me. Like the sign is like, here's like a, I don't know, like a limited edition sticker for some show that doesn't matter or something.
No,
like,
that was a different guy.
Oh, it's a different guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm confusing.
No,
that
this was the fruit guy. This is
a goofy fruit guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's got
okay,
pictures of bananas and like they're and there's like a pile of grapes that want to be gangsters, like the orange, the OG orange.
OG.
He's the OG orange.
Oh god, that's hilarious.
Yeah. It was pretty good. So, the cardboard guy. If you look up on Instagram, Blah Mamas.
This guy like stole the show.
It's all one word. My cardboard guy is different than John's cardboard guy.
Oh, we have multiple cardboard guys.
Yeah. This is the guy who I bought the cat puking blood into a cup.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do.
And it came with a package that had a generic label. It says generic label.
It's a generic label.
And this cutout print thingy or whatever is for it's called More Blood from a Master. Hence why the cat is vomiting blood. He also had a different one with a different color cat vomiting a rainbow.
Oh, that's nice.
And
it's
like,
Pride Month after all.
Yeah. And there was like a deal if you got both, because it was less than if you got, one was like $10 or whatever, and the other one. And now I regret not getting the second one, because now that I have it set up like on my own, amongst my own stuff, I kind of regret not having the two of them.
Yeah.
I got some cards. I don't usually do cards, but someday I might send cards to someone. And one says, "I just want to eat your face."
You have my address.
The other one's,
I'm just saying.
You have a beautiful soul. Is it for sale? He had a bunch of other things. There's a picture on my phone I'll post of like you could buy a standee figure, like a tiny cardboard paper standee figure, and it's like you could buy this and put it up, and it'll look really good next to your a rare designer figure or whatever. It's like knowing like,
and it says or whatever. on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well aware of what he's selling.
Yes.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell if like this stuff was laser etched or cut out or anything, or how like he got such fine lines. But in one of his pictures is just a razor blade, like a box cutter blade. I was like, there's no way he got these good at these such clean edges that way. And having these like really affordable items, they're just cardboard, but like he arts on them himself. I really dig it's just a fun message.
Yeah.
Because if you're around people who like, I don't want to step on any toes, but if some artists are kind of pretentious, like it should
be fun at the end of the day. Like a show like this should be at the end of the day like fun. That's cool.
Like definitely had like a wink to his booth.
Like we're making toys here, people.
He had a bunch of lottery tickets that you could buy. They were like $2, and you actively peel back the signs right there, and they all say like some funny stuff. It's like, get your effing stupid lottery ticket or whatever. And like a girl bought one in front of me and like peeled it off and like showed it to him because she won. And, up until that point, he was like, "Hey, thanks for buying stuff. Thanks for coming to my booth." And then she's like, "Oh, I'm a winner." And he goes, "Great. You won.
You
fine." And like takes
Awesome.
out what the prizes are and like throws them on the table. It's like, pick one, I guess.
Pick
Whatever.
one, yeah.
Like
all right.
he like the expression he put on was like he almost legitimately looked pissed, but like enough to say it's still a joke.
Yeah.
And like it's half the experience of going to his booth and buying his stuff. He was a lot of fun. I would like to talk to him, but I might also be kind of scared of him.
Speaking of people I might be scared of, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
To talk about this person who had an even better segue because he had cardboard art as well. If I can get his
Double
name.
segue.
Double segs. He is Charles V. Bennett, the Werewolf of Tennessee, I believe this is his moniker. And he makes very fun, messed up, like rough-looking, like sculptures and prints made out of cardboard or wood, and he paints on them, I believe. Let's see if I can find his. This is riveting stuff here. What I'm doing.
They were. They did look weird.
So what made me want to get up close and look was because I recognized two things that he had done.
So John's smart. It's. I was about to make a joke. I don't want to make it now. Like John can look at
here we go.
Like a cartoon version of something, and I'll just see like some weird faced cartoon thing.
Right.
And John's like, "Oh, that's a serial killer." I'm like, "What?" And John's like, "Well, by the hat and by what what he's exaggerated. Like the nose is correct and this is correct. It's like that's so and so." I'm like, "How the hell did you do that?"
Okay, so I found his page. He's Charles V. Bennett. He's a Nashville area. I wish I had talked to this guy. Because he's
hey man, there's always next time.
But Charles V. Bennett, Nashville area illustrator, painter, Wolfman, amateur supervillain. And so he has a lot of this cardboard art by very much akin to, I don't want to say they're the same because they're very distinct art styles, but this guy has like heads you can wear for photos, and so does this other guy named Wayne White, who has a documentary about him called Beauty is Embarrassing, and it's very cool because he's like secretly famous because you've all seen what he's done. Like he designed all the puppets for Pee-wee's Playhouse and stuff. Oh. And his wife like wrote the first Simpsons episode.
Of course.
But this guy,
one of the few women writers in that room for many years.
Yeah. But this guy like has stuff like this. I'm showing him some like very wacky, lowbrow, but in a very good way. I mean that as a compliment. Art.
Well, a lot of the art we said was going to be here, like, and the artists know it too, because like we'll talk about designer figures, and like some look interesting in their own way because they're designed beautifully or they're sculpted, amazingly. But some of them are intended to be ugly.
Intentionally,
they're purposely ugly figures. But that's some people want to buy those.
But so this guy, what made me drawn to his stuff is that he had two art pieces, and if you know what these people look like, and I have a sick fascination with true crime, so I know what these people look like.
A lot of people do.
It's a thing now. It's a thing all of a sudden.
Well, considering like some of the podcasts you've like turned me on to, and I go, oh, I get it, and that's why these podcasts have so many followers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell what he was going for, and one of them was like clearly Ed Gein, who is a very famous. He at least killed someone, but it's what he did with.
Oh God, it is brutal.
Okay, I don't want to like go into. It's like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs type stuff.
Yeah,
so,
when they broke into his place, they found human parts being used as furniture, and it's awful. It's awful.
It's like Mel Brooks. What he says is like, take the villain and take his power away by making fun of it. That's why he did like Springtime for Hitler. And this guy is making a fun, ridiculous cartoon head sculpture of Ed Gein. And then he also did Pee Wee Gaskins, who isn't also a ridiculous tiny man who allegedly killed some people. But we got most of this information from a autobiography that he called The Final Truth. And I guess he was just a very odd criminal. But
so this artist had like 10 of these pictures or these faces, up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And like this is John pointing out 2 of them. And I wonder like if the rest were also like other characters from history.
But it's a very fun style. So anyway, moving on. He was cool. He was very notable. You
should check it out to see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, the pin game, Nightlife Pins, NITELYTE. I saw some of these posts a while ago on the Instagrams. He had a really cool Thanos with Gauntlet pin.
Oh, neat.
And he's gone through 5 versions now. Like he's been changing the coloring as he goes. He has some cool.
So that movie's pretty popular, huh? I'm just being facetious.
This guy.
And he also has some pins of the ladies from Wakanda as Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Wakanda forever.
Mike,
this guy's great.
Mike Direc. Mike DIERWK, and this is on his Insta. He had like multi-part pins, like a little tiny tank with little lizard people that separate and fit into the tank.
And they were magnetized onto it. Very tempting. I did not pick one up. I think I regret that. And it was like almost of a side scroller-esque.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It reminded me of that.
Yeah, they're almost like 8-bit art.
Yes.
Just about. You expect it to look like that, but it's more detailed than that. He would have a few series. He had like 3 different color versions of like Deadpool pins, and he had some Transformers. Who was he? He had Starscream, but also like the 2 other versions of Starscream.
I think the one with like the eyeball head, that's Soundwave, right?
This one's Shockwave.
Oh, Shockwave.
Yeah.
I get all those.
Yeah, he has the single.
Those bots mixed
But
up.
since there's no license, it's Screamer and Shock Blast.
Yes. We can't say what they are because that would be copyright infringement.
But he designed his own pins, and like you could see like what went
His
into
own
it.
distinct art style, yeah.
Yeah, and like to get this level of detail and not just have someone else design them or like take your art and figure out a way to, cut them out of a die cut or whatever, or enamel them. Like, it was really neat to see those. Those are fun.
Should I talk about when I went to the Outer Spacemen booth? It was pretty freaking cool. They had there almost life size, because I think Colossus Rex would be super colossal, but they had like a 6 or 7 foot tall Colossus Rex, which is a big old monster man from Jupiter. And they make all these retro-inspired like spacemen from the stars, with the big bubble helmets and stuff. And I was like, I've never had one of these, and I love that sort of retro sci-fi look stuff.
Well, considering they were originally made
back in the way back.
Well, like in the 60s.
So this wasn't retro. It's just like, this is what they'll be wearing in the future. They just actually thought that.
Was it 60s, you think?
I don't know.
I don't recall. Let me look up their thing. Keep talking.
But I bought one that I thought looked pretty awesome. He's Cyclops. I think he's just known as Cyclops. I looked it up. And he comes with a big helmet, a big bubble helmet, like from like the EC, like Wally Wood comics. That was very like classic sci-fi comics. But what's cool is how well designed they are. Like you can take everything apart, and like his armor comes off, and like it's all perfectly fitted. And I don't know, it's just like got a really cool retro aesthetic to it. And I took a photo of him next to some other space themed collectibles, and they actually responded to the post on Instagram, so they actually keep in touch with their fans, which is pretty cool, and they seemed really nice.
1968.
That's that's cool.
That's when they first came around.
So it's like you're buying history, and you have it. You have a little piece of history, little retro sci-fi history.
They are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've had a few that I've had to like get from different places, but you could get them all in one place at the show.
I may need to buy some more at some point.
That's, I'm surprised you only got the one, to be honest.
They're fun. They're really fun.
A digital artist, Dope Pope, was there. You can find Dope Pope at artstation.com. Just the levels of digital like 3D sculpting people are able to do now.
Amazing.
Blows my mind.
Like, I don't have any idea how to do it. Like ZBrush, any of that sort of thing.
The level of detail this guy gets. Like on purpose too, because he's choosing to draw kaiju and lizard creatures,
with like scales and plates.
So many scales,
teeth,
like just detailing every single scale.
I see a Man Thing from Marvel Comics. He looks pretty giant sized too, and you see the moss, the detail of the moss and the leaves and like everything. It's like amazing.
How do you 3D draw moss?
I don't know. Like it's incredible. This guy's awesome.
He's got like some big some like Godzilla-esque monsters. He's made some that like some like are designed to be Godzilla, some are like his own version of it. He has just the things that he's just go look at his stuff. Look for Dope Pope.
The dopest of the popes.
He had some, I think they were 3D prints, like really nice ones of his Apocalypse. Like 3D sculpt.
Was it a bust or a full? Like,
it was a bust.
Oh, it was nice.
It was
That's
like
nice.
like chest kind of shoulders.
Yeah,
it looked incredible. It was just like in grayscale. It wasn't even painted yet.
Okay.
And you could still tell what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just go look at his stuff.
Speaking of that sort of like seeing the process of, because it wasn't yet painted, that reminded me of this guy. We saw him painting something, and he probably had ink at first, but he was shading it. He was dipping it into a cup of coffee.
That was Calamity.
Yeah, Calamity.
Yeah.
And you showed me what he had been working on. It was mind blowing. It was absolutely mind blowing. Like
a thing that he's been working on he's been posting about it on his Instagram, and it was at this show. It was this red like mech, like this Gundam-esque. There's lots of other mech version, toy lines or whatever, but it looked amazing. And not only could he sculpt and build that, whatever that took. I mean, I was watching the process pictures that were coming out on Instagram, and I couldn't really follow what was happening.
yeah, it's like, how did that become that?
I just knew it looked amazing. But like, between at his table, he was like, just illustrating actual art stuff, and not like building a model of whatever. But he had this sea creature, this jellyfish, squid octopus thing.
Yeah, it was
And
crazy.
it looked like he was like drawing it with a stick.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really a brush. It was like a wooden stick of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, would dip it in his cup. And I was like, oh, is that an ink cup? And John's like, is that coffee? And he goes, yeah, it is. And I'm like, what is happening? And so he was like detailing and inking this thing using his own coffee, but it looked amazing. And then he was done with it and he started making a new thing that he was drawing and inking and painting. And the price in the first one was $80. And
Nice.
when I came back later, the second piece had a sold tag on it. And there was no more price tag, but there was not a sold tag on the Squid Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, $80 is
That's not bad.
perfectly reasonable for
Yeah,
that.
for like fresh art.
For the length of time
Yeah.
he took to make that, like I've probably paid more for a con sketch,
Yeah.
at a Boston Comic Con or whatever. And that was definitely worth it. Look up Calamity with a K on Instagram and look at some of his stuff. He makes some really cool stuff. It was pretty, I don't have words for it.
Phantasmagoric, to quote H.P. Lovecraft.
I did have time to buy a couple of things from Tarah McPherson,
Very cool.
it's one of those confusions that happens at shows when like you hear someone's name, you hear of an artist and you see their work, but then you never see them, you never meet them.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea what they look like. And so like we go to the booth and it's like, oh, so Tara's a dude. And we're watching this dude sell stuff and talk to people and be like, oh, this item is not going to sell until 3:00 today. It's limited, so we're just going to sell it at 3 when everyone can be
Right.
here and have time. And like a different person shows up. This is like a girl who like has her, hair tied back, looks kind of punky, bunch of tattoos. Like, oh, that's Tarah.
That's Tarah McPherson.
And he's just a helper. He's just selling stuff. And then later on, there's a different girl in a dress with pink hair signing things.
It's like,
I'm
oh,
nope,
that's Tarah McPherson. Like, she's definitely a superstar in like art and also this world because like her style is so distinct and interesting.
Yeah. But like she needed 2 helpers because they never stopped being busy selling prints and having her sign stuff. If you've looked around the DC Collectibles statues, figures, you've probably seen her version of Wonder Woman.
I really like it.
There's like a zombie green scale one. There's also a gray scale one.
I like the blue, teal, green wash on
Yeah.
that one. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very neat.
So I picked up one of those, and I also was there for.
Are you going to? Sorry to interrupt, but
I don't know.
Are you going
I might
to
display it.
keep it?
I don't know. Yeah.
It's really neat.
I also picked up 2 of her skull flowers, which were some of the things that were like the limited release at 3.
Cool.
They were really cool. They were good helpers. Seeing the receipt get emailed to me because I paid with my credit card and they use Square, which I didn't realize because I've never gone to the website before.
Mm-hmm.
But like their business is called Cotton Candy Machine. So when you get a receipt emailed to you for like you spent $120 at Cotton Candy Machine, you realize that's a lot of cotton candy.
Oh man, I'm going to get the diabetes.
One of the things I like that I wanted to touch on, Casey Tarah Rouge, KCTARARUJ.
Okay.
That's her Instagram. The profile says, "One-eyed girl, my legs don't work, so I make up for it by making silly things with my hands." And I saw a girl there in a wheelchair with a bunch of like tiny Care Bear-esque figures with really twisted eyes. Like their eyes looked really wrinkly or tired or
These are fantastic.
too caffeinated. And like one has like a coffee mug on its Care Bear belly. One has pancakes. But there are a lot of like adorably, also kind of disturbing little monsters that she has.
That was definitely a theme throughout the whole show, where like you're taking this cutesiness and making it weird and scary.
But that was and one has like a little cutout, and you can see what's inside its belly. It's like that one's like a banana split sundae.
Oh, nice. Like it can't stop eating.
Unless you eat it.
Did you guys do anything with the beer?
It was sponsored by Lagunitas, and they had a beer garden outside, and because it was warm out and I didn't have too many hours of sleep, I did not imbibe, but that's okay.
You guys really got your money's worth though with the vendors.
Yeah, they were nice people, very friendly.
It seems to be. I mean, obviously, it's a very vendor heavy show. You know, whereas at like
heavy with vendors, you could say.
Yeah. And because it show like near Comic-Con, you can see all the vendors, but there's also look at this booth with this video game, and look at this other thing with all the all this display. Like it seems to just be, it's like vendor heaven, which sounds rad. And I'd also be kind of scared because one, it's an opportunity to spend too much money,
right?
And then two, and it's an opportunity to get overwhelmed and end up not spending any money at all because you find one thing that you like, but you know what? Maybe
How
I'm
do
gonna
you prioritize basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was one guy, like you said, Alex, that you liked what he was selling, and he's I don't know if he's famous, but he has a lot of followers on Instagram. His name is Jim McKenzie, and he had this pumpkin crab vinyl toy, which was like 3 jack-o'-lanterns stacked on it, but they had like crab legs and stuff. And he has on Instagram like a little series called Making Things, which is like a fake kids show, where it's very much like subversive kids show, and it kind of falls into the category of person I would like to talk to one day, but didn't at the show. And so yeah, it can be a bit of a rabbit hole. Like it's like, oh, I need to. All of a sudden, I spent how much? But but no, I think you'll come away definitely not regretting it because you have like really
it's
unique
also
things.
Noting like I definitely learned how much not a fan I am of some stuff, of what I wasn't willing to pay.
Right.
So there's the scale goes the other way too. It's like I don't want this that bad.
I'm good.
Yeah. So James Broman was a big name there.
Yes.
And he had a few figures that you could buy, and that's him, yeah. And to get some of the stuff from Instinct Toys, I believe, you had to like enter a lottery.
Yeah.
And you had to get, your number or name pulled to be allowed to buy something from the lottery. That's how that one was run.
I just pointed out to Alex that he's such a big name that like with the Outer Spacemen and the other big names, his toy is actually in the logo of the fest itself.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. Like
Yeah.
his thing. But go on.
And like he had this zombie ape figure.
Yes.
It's huge. It was like at least a foot tall, I
Yeah,
think.
it's called King Corpse. And
Yeah.
Corpse with a K.
And the original, the primer that you could buy was like between $300 and $400 or so, like for just the regular figure.
Right.
But he also had done like custom paints of different colors.
They were so cool.
And there was 4 of them, and 2 were already sold, and they were $1,500 each.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is very cool. They were awesome.
But
A cool 3 Gs on 2 products. Not bad. Not bad.
like the level of paint that these would need, and had some other cool like monster and dinosaur stuff too.
Yeah,
that I
very,
liked.
very well made, very detailed.
Can we talk about your thing with the He-Mans?
Oh,
That
okay.
you brought it up earlier, and I wanted to explain it a certain way.
Okay.
So like one of the guys had like repainted He-Man figures. He did some custom works on them, a few like of his own sculpts, and then painted them and everything. And John liked them. He had a Dr. Doom. He had the Ghost Rider. He had some like G.I. Joe characters like Destro and the Baroness were there, and like the pair for $X.
But I'm not sure. It wasn't definitely a thing of him or him by himself. It was like a broader scope of like the show itself of like why would this. I'm not disparaging a certain toy, but it the style of this kaiju sort of thing is that it is hollow, and maybe it's made in that style to be reminiscent of a retro manufacturing method. But go on.
And select the Ghost Rider, the Doctor Dooms. They're about like $80 each.
Mm-hmm.
And one of John's, I don't want to say it was complaint, but like the thought was, why is that $80? If I want it, I don't want to pay $80 for it. And I have a figure that John's made for me personally. It's a custom, and it's what's the original? Do you remember what the original is?
The original thing it was?
Yeah.
Was
it a Fisto or
oh, you know
Chop
what?
Dude or something?
I think it was Jitsu.
And-
Not racially insensitive at all.
And John like put a BB-8 on it and made me a BB-8. I'll post a picture later.
It was like a cyborg BB-8.
It's fun. I
Yeah,
dig
it's-
it. And for me to say, like, a lot of people that make stuff have trouble pricing their work. Because, like, well, how much is your time worth? How much is your skill worth?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I tried to break it down as a matter of how long did it take you to make this thing? Was it like 3 hours, 4 hours? And like, let's settle on 4 hours. If your time, if what you do is worth $20 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and it took you 4 hours, then yeah, that thing's worth $80. And that's just the time you spent on it. That's not really adding in materials or
Exactly,
or whatever.
exactly.
You got to make money
Yeah.
off of it
And
too.
one of the big things I learned at the show is that I might not be the nerd they are looking, the nerd, the type of nerd they are selling to, because maybe like store manager nerds or like business world nerds who can
Nerds with more money. Is that what you're saying?
yes. Because if I was one of those nerds, I would buy one of every single thing I've seen, like at the show, because I would throw that disposable income at that tax bracket, because it's all awesome. It's all awesome. So I might not be the nerd they're looking for, basically.
But I was thinking of it like, well, I think you should make,
I should
because
get
these
on
are
that.
things like, and that isn't a bad
Motivator
calculator,
Yeah.
to try and price some of the stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And being like, well, it would be worth that.
How was the venue?
It was fancy.
It was nice. It was like the Brooklyn Expo Center, I believe
Yeah.
it was called. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
We've
was
never
really
been.
nice.
I've never been to that.
No.
I've never even been near that.
Mhm.
Brooklyn itself was kind of weird experience. Because I haven't.
Did you park at World Yacht?
That'd be a bit of a walk.
It's quite a farce.
Where's the beast?
Don't blow up our spot.
Is the
It's
beast
blown up.
the Intrepid?
The beast is way back in the. I think it still exists.
It's
I
still
see
there.
signs
Yeah.
for it, but I haven't seen the boat in a while. So at New York Comic Con, it used to be a big secret, but it's kind of blown up now. Alex knew of this secret super duper parking spot that no one else knew about. It was right behind the convention
It was on a
center,
pier, pretty much.
called World Yacht. And we've parked there every single year.
Mhm.
Every year we've ever gone. And there's a boat called the Beast, which is like a speed boat. And you can buy a ticket and ride in the speed
It's
boat.
like one of
okay.
those cigarette boats, but
Yeah.
but like painted with green scales. Like
Used to
it's
be
some
red.
kind of.
Oh, like
Was
a
it red?
monster.
It used to be red.
Huh.
Like the first couple years we went, it was red. Now it's green.
Yeah.
It's like the Superman. Oh, now it's Bizarro. Now it's a.
Are you talking about the
Superman
roller
again.
coaster?
Apparently
from
it's a different coaster.
A regional theme park.
Yo, hey, that coaster is like nationally recognized, right?
It's
I believe so. By
Ride of
the
Steel?
Acer community,
Mhm.
I believe.
Acer, that's
it's
a
won
thing.
awards.
But yeah, I imagine World Yacht was quite the hike from Brooklyn,
Yes.
seeing as it's like in Manhattan.
Yes.
Anyways, so the venue.
It
Very
was
nice.
pretty modern looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the air was spotty.
What was
'Cause-
the place called again?
The Brooklyn Expo Center. You will find like pictures of the empty venue that they pipe and drape the whole thing. They measured it out. They're posting pictures and live videoing on Instagram of like them getting everything laid out like the night after we talked to them,
Mhm.
like 10 hours later after
Right,
they
right.
talked to us. And they were like laying out tables, positions, and everything. Little panel room, not too bad. And then there was like an outside courtyard where they put the food trucks, and that's where they were doing the
live
graffiti painting.
Yeah.
How would you put it in terms of size, like in terms of conventions that I've been to,
Would you?
like
It's-
expo centers?
It's the smallest out of
It's a
all
nice
of
like
them.
little exposition center. Like it's not as big as the Javits Center because that's like massive.
Like what,
you
like
know?
That's huge.
yeah.
I think the smallest one that I've probably been to is the Heinz.
Oh, it's so long ago. Way smaller than that.
Okay, got it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's cozy.
How about where Massive Con is at the DCU?
The DC Universe.
The DCU in
The
Worcester.
DCU Center. That place is
Oh,
pretty
okay.
big.
Yeah.
but not like the show,
area
the
that
show
it took
floor.
up.
Like yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
smaller than that because they didn't have room to put cars. Look, it's the Joker car from that one thing. Maybe that didn't actually happen.
I'd take a photo with it.
The Joker car.
Do you see it growing out of the venue?
Batmobile, I would.
That's getting bigger.
Yeah.
I would like to. There's a few things I would like to see handled a little more, but that takes like some serious investing and planning.
Yeah.
So when they had told us that the panel on Saturday at 3 was like going to be live streamed, it means one of the volunteers was standing there with their phone
Mm.
and like just holding that, like that's their live streaming, which they had 5 people total that were like working to put on the show. And then, we
That's
met
amazing.
We met 5 people to put on
That's
that entire
really-
thing.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
exactly. So, if I were to try and like relate that to Kineticon, where like we've been to a show that they've live streamed,
Right.
Because they have an entire tech table in the back of the room.
They have someone to do that all
They
day.
have someone on the soundboard.
yeah.
And, there's a lot going on there, and there's cables to run and stages to set up.
Mhm.
This was like, they got a room of chairs and some tables, and that was it.
Yeah.
So like the only advances I could see, we also didn't go to the award, the Designer Toy Awards.
Mhm.
That would have been fun, but
Yeah, that was on Friday night, and they all like had whoever won the trophy like had them at their booth, so
Yeah.
you could see who the winners were. Like, oh, this table's important because they got a
Mhm.
trophy.
there was a toy called Sad Businessman, and it was like a potato
Oh,
in
the
like
bean?
a fedora, and he was like just sad.
Yeah, this
Yes,
guy.
you have it. And he won an award, and it was warranted because it's hilarious.
So, I wouldn't really want to see them get the arena get bigger,
Mhm.
have a bigger expo center, but maybe a few things like throw in some Wi-Fi and
Oh yeah.
and some cables to stream some of their events better if you wanted to watch it, from home.
Mhm.
But also, it's also part of the charm of being able to go. Like I
Mhm.
said when we started, I was like, oh, the program, there's a nice little dictionary that could be online. It's nice having it in my hand, though. And it gives me a reason to go and actually keep the thing now, compared to like, oh, there's this one website, we could go find it. And I think that's my only piece of advice. Everything else was laid out pretty well. We got in fine.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe more variety of food trucks, because they had like 3.5 food trucks there.
Yes. And you might want an option because you might want to think of like if it's hot, people might not want like cheese products. But hey,
How was
that's-
attendance?
It was happening.
It was pretty packed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was popping.
Depending on where you were, what times, but at no point like could you not walk. It's like you could usually get wherever you wanted to go.
Right.
You may have to stall just because someone's hurrying past you,
Mhm.
but it's not like the entire area is like has a crowd in front of it. I think the most clustered it was when I was like in a group at Tara McPherson's booth because we're just waiting for the thing.
Was there any cosplay?
A little.
I think I saw
A
3.
sprinkling.
Like of characters that you recognize?
Well,
Or-
John corrected me. I saw an orange jumpsuit, and I was like, "Oh, it's Goku and number 18." And John's like, "He was bald." I'm like, "It's Krillin and number 18."
Krillin,
Yep.
dude. It's Krillin.
Or an interpretation of Goku? You never know.
Hey, don't hair shame. Don't follicle shame.
Exactly.
You know, I should check my my hair privilege. I'm sorry. But anyway.
I think, and we saw a Mad Max.
Oh yeah. Very desert wasteland esque. Very
yeah.
cool.
Oh, it definitely flew on like shoulder pad with missing sleeve and everything.
And one of them, I believe, was Sucklord. I believe he was dressed up as a Mad Max like wasteland.
He had his own thing going.
Yeah. He was like post-apocalypse madman, and I liked it. I liked his look. He had like a little mohawk mullet thing going on.
The guy who was dressed up as Mad Max was actually helping out because I saw him go behind the table behind the booth for Alley Cat. And I feel like we've heard of her before, but I don't recall seeing her work before. But I stopped by her table briefly. She does a lot of illustration. Is a what was the term she used? She draws sketch cards for Star Wars. So like her drawings of characters will be in packs of Star Wars cards that you will buy.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. So it's not like she just draws like illustrations of cards. Like her sketch card will be like one of
Or
the limited
legit.
like
Like licensed by Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Like, oh, nice. That
and
sounds-
like she had a few and they're like $150 because you could only get them out of a pack.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's a toy show. So now she was there to like pitch her illustration and her artwork and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But she was also like she's a collector reseller.
Okay.
So she had a ton of Transformers.
Oh,
A
cool.
whole ton of Transformers. And she's like, yeah, these are for sale or trade. You know, it might be easier just to unload a Fortress Maximus here rather than ship it to someone and have it be left on her doorstep.
That is one of my big blind spots as a collector. I don't really know that much about Transformers.
Yeah, me neither.
Like,
we know a guy.
I'm sure
he was one of our first guests.
His
His name was Adam.
And like maybe some of them I probably don't need another thing I want to collect, but like
Yeah.
if someone could just like give me a frame of reference and then maybe I'm like, oh, that is cool. Like I'm not saying it's not, but like that's one of my big like
I have an episode for you, John.
yeah.
It's one of ours.
It's
when we-
opinions may vary. I'm writing it down. That's the show. Yeah.
This
No,
guy Adam, yeah.
Transformers early episode.
Mhm.
I'll track it down.
I also stopped by her booth because she had some Ashley Wood, the only Ashley Wood there.
Oh right, yeah,
3A.
like one of your big fans, or
Well,
you're a
I
big
think
fan
I'm
of
a fan
her.
of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. You said
And
that right. I didn't.
Ashley's a dude. Weird.
Interesting.
It happens.
Well, that can be like Ashley from
Oh, yeah.
Ash from Evil Dead.
Yeah, yeah.
His name's Ashley. Yeah,
I know two guys named Shannon. So
yeah.
she had a cube with like Tank Tracks, which is one of its little bots or little
Nice,
buddy,
nice.
and also like a more a humanoid person figure.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking because she had those up for like trade or sale or
Very
whatever.
cool.
And I was like, I haven't seen any other Ashley Wood here.
What are you looking for Ashley
And
Wood?
well, funny thing, I say to her, I was like, I'm really looking. I want a blind cowboy, and she goes,
Oh.
"Don't we all?"
Like she knows.
Oh yeah, yup.
She's a fan.
Uh huh.
Um,
I really want to give her a shout out. I might want to have her on an episode later on.
I was at a shop called 3D Retro in LA, which is like exactly what we're talking about. They sell designer toys, and it's freaking awesome
Mm-hmm.
just to walk around this little store. One of the things I had in display case was the Ashley Wood, I believe. It's the Ashley Wood style of Doctor Doom.
Yep.
And
There's three of them. There's a classic, a white version, and a stealth version, which
I
is black.
forget what color scheme. It might have been white, or it might have been gunmetal. The lighting was kind of
Yeah,
like threw me
yeah.
off a little bit, but like it was so cool.
It is.
Oh my god! It was
If
so
I got
cool.
one, I'd also want. There's like independent sellers that make furniture,
Okay.
and there's a really cool like super villain chair
Oh, nice.
that should fit.
Nice. Very cool.
Kyle Kerwin lives in an RV. The RV was outside with the food trucks.
Oh. That's
And,
where he
like-
lives?
Yes, we saw an RV and like a table with a tent, and me and John wandered over. Like, what's this? There's some
man's
figures
home.
out here.
Like, well, from what you're scrolling down in front of us right now, like,
Yeah.
his stuff is cool. Like, he has, like, a molten deer man. Like, very, very
Mm-hmm.
neat.
Like, I feel like the Deer Man is his sculpt because I saw it a few other places, but like he has this really interesting paint style where like he has this good like molten rock like lava person.
That's very cool.
I really like his lava stuff. Our friend April learned how to do that with makeup.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she saw it somewhere and she like was able to reenact it and it came out great.
I assume you'd probably have to go in with, like, yellow and then layer it and then put the cracks and crevices on.
I don't recall what comes
Okay,
first.
there's probably different ways to do it, but, like, that's very neat.
And I had a good chat with the guy helping out vending at Sukiban. If you go to sukiban.nyc, they're like an apparel company. They'll sell T-shirts with like specific like they're anime-esque female designs, and there's actually one I really dug. I wanted to buy it, but since they're essentially limited edition apparel,
Yeah.
like each shirt is numbered and signed.
Oh, okay.
And so like
It's a little
the number's
pricey.
printed on the shirt.
Yeah.
It's like a big like there's like, Japanese lettering on it or
Mm-hmm.
the characters. And it's like this is number 75. And it's like okay, and they're like of 100. So that's how many's left or that's, what we sold already.
It's like you're wearing an art print, basically.
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one I wanted, they didn't have my size
Mm.
because the XLs go pretty fast. And he's like, you could try our website or, let us contact us later on. But he was fun. We talked about comic books. He's also a big fan of Superior Spider-Man.
Oh,
We really
okay.
bonded.
Oh, nice, nice.
And I wanted to give him a shout out. They were fun. It's like one of the few like T-shirts I actually took money out for.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, That's what I get for being a little too big in the britches.
Hey, just buy the size you want to be and work toward that.
You know, it's funny you say that, John, because I've been doing that for 10 years.
Hey, I believe in you. It's
Yeah.
a process. It's not like something you need to do in 6 months.
It's like the 76ers, man. You just got to trust the process. You guys both get that reference, right?
Is that like
sports?
bowling?
He's not a
Sports.
young man anymore.
Is that like cricket?
Get off my lawn.
Sports?
I don't know.
He's got his pulse rifle.
So,
the pulse rifle.
5 points sounded pretty dope.
Soldier
Overwatch.
76.
Overwatch joke. Okay.
It's one of those things that the more I hear about it, the more, like, especially with all the I'm big into pins. The pin game, with the pin game being so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, one of my favorite parts of New York Comic Con is wandering around and looking at all the figures that I can't afford. And I feel like there'd be a lot of them there.
Yeah.
Right in my wheelhouse. So it's something that I'm definitely considering, maybe for next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know how when we hit the vendor room of Kineticon,
Mhm.
like
Next month.
if we blast through it, we can complete it in 40 minutes.
Yep.
This was kind of like that.
Mhm.
So you make your first lap, and then like you take another lap and you go a bit slower.
Right.
I made so many laps.
And me too. And what show did I go to? I think I was at like a steampunk show somewhere, and it was that kind of situation where it's like you do your first thing, and you could say, "All right, I'm going to go home," or like you could come around again and go a bit slower.
And maybe
And this
notice
gives you-
stuff you didn't.
You notice more
before,
things.
yeah.
You talk to more people. You ask questions. You learn from people, and that might make you more endeared to like want to get stuff.
Mhm.
So when we talk about other shows, I want to say like it's not as big a show, but the review value is definitely a bit higher than usual.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of, is there any last things you guys wanted to get out before we started going over overall grade?
I think we talked a lot about stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a couple things.
Yeah,
A couple things in there.
couple things in there, here and there. I think there's something for everybody. Like they were saying when we interviewed them, like I think they're like buy what you like,
It's
not
accurate.
basically like what
Yeah.
a name. Don't buy a name if you don't like the name of the or like what they do. Like just if something speaks to you, and you want to like, go for it. And like there is a wide variety of styles, and it's awesome.
I went in thinking I'd have like a 60% understanding, and then once I was there for a bit, I realized I have more of a 18% standing.
Yeah.
And, like a knowledge of what's happening and what's here.
Right.
So I had a lot to learn.
Yeah, like the designer, that might be a blind spot that because I was like, oh, I know like action figures and stuff, but like a designer toy is like a whole nother thing, and like that, it was a really cool education of that like little thing.
Since the show's
That
put
way.
on by Clutter Magazine, I assume we could learn a lot by
opening up
taking in
Clutter.
some Clutter Magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a nice little drop there.
Yeah.
You brought it in. In terms of grade, John, we typically do like a letter grade
Okay.
for conventions. Typically PAX is usually our
Gold standard.
gold standard. I believe that. I don't
Man,
think that's
that usually scores A's.
I don't think that's ever gotten anything below an A minus.
Man, like I'm not that into video games, but like, which is weird to say because I'm not like 55, but like,
There's lots to get into though. It's a big.
so like, I enjoy a PAX.
You would if you went. I feel like if you went with us,
I would dig it.
you'd find things to enjoy.
Cool.
I don't know if because next year we're actually debating. We're debating doing 3 days. It's been in discussions. They've been happening
Wow. Wow.
because they do Thursday now, and from what we hear,
Oh.
Thursday was like the jam. That was like the day to go.
Cool.
But anyways, I mean, I'm big fan of PAX. Got a little stuck there. But
or are you
anyways,
just that big of a fan?
yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But in terms of a letter grade, where would you guys rate 5 points? The second annual, second
Yes.
Second.
so far it's annual,
The eighth awards.
right?
Yeah.
5 points fest. Deliberation.
Let's say it was
Deliberation.
a B plus.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna give it that to scale for the size and what I knew it was going to be and what I expected,
Mm-hmm.
and like what I needed from it met all those factors, you know. And
Feel you.
when I said like the location itself, the AC was kind of spotty.
Yeah.
Because some places were real chilly.
Nice.
Like by the front door near where Frambi was, and where the girl with the weird wrinkly eyes, tiny
No,
cute things.
she made things with weird wrinkly eyes.
Yeah.
She did not have weird wrinkly eyes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Her area was chilly. That was cool. Like she had a blanket on. It was kind of cold over there. But then like you get to a different section and it was like it was toasty, and I was sweating. It just wasn't an even spread. But it's not like how it was at Boston a couple years ago when the entire place was sweltering and,
Yep.
and
Oh,
paper was
man.
wrinkling up because
Oh, I'm
the
so sorry.
Yeah. Oh. Aside from that, like, and that's not easy to plan for. And just like for future to see them, you know, if they have some more assets or some more abilities to get some better streaming. I mean, like, but as far as complaint, I don't have any serious complaints. I don't have anything to talk to your manager about.
How about you, John?
Whoa. I want to say A-. I would bring it up because I had a lot of fun. There was like so much visual overload, like eye candy to take in. Like the amount of like skill that these guys have, like it's beyond what I currently know how to do, and like it's something to shoot for, and it's really, really, really just fun to take all of that in because they were obviously all very passionate artists, and you know, like you say passion, but what it is like nerdiness. You're such a nerd about this stuff, like you're so into it, like, and that was clearly on display, and I think that trumped anything else for me. So I think that was really cool.
Nice.
And surrounded by other people who are also into what you're into.
Yes.
Yep.
And it was nice seeing confidence in there. Vendors and, you know, artists themselves who are
Yeah.
selling things like, yes, this thing is awesome. I get that you want to buy it. Like, so
Right.
so go ahead and I saw that a lot where I'd go, oh, that's great. And they go, yeah, that is cool, isn't it? Like, yeah, it is.
It's like someday I think I'm going to say it. So for posterity, I'll motivate myself to get it one day. I want a Mr. Selfindulgence. That's so cool.
You can do
Like-
it. I believe in you.
What if there's a variant one?
Oh, a variant.
Wait, what flavor was this one? Was it cherry?
I think it was cherry pie.
How about when there's an apple one?
Ooh, or maybe mint.
A nice cheesecake.
Swiss chocolate almonds.
Oh, nice.
That's what I'll take.
Lemon meringue.
Lemon.
perhaps.
Damn it.
Sweet potato.
No.
And like, if you had enough time inside, you could go outside, watch some graffiti art,
Yeah.
watch people like physically paint on a 6-foot tall board. No, 8. That was tall.
It was tall.
One
Taller
of
than
the
me.
one of the girls needed a chair to stand on to get towards the top.
Yeah, that's. I'd say it's probably taller than 6 feet.
Yeah.
From the ground.
Sounds dope. I don't. Is that a dick joke?
No,
I don't- I have
let's
no
move
idea.
on. Let's move on.
It sounds rad. I appreciate the pin. It is hung proudly in my pin box.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. You guys think it's nice that it's hung? It's late.
Oh, it's after dark. Here.
Big thanks to the fine folks at 5 Points Fest. A little bit of alliteration there for giving us the opportunity to cover the show. Also coming on a couple weeks ago, 6 days before the show, and by 6 days I mean like 12 hours.
Just
Big,
about, yeah.
big thanks to them. That
Very
was
cool.
That was super
of them
rad.
to do that. That was
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. Definitely. I hope you guys enjoy all your new things.
I think I will. Thank you.
My prints are already in my portfolio.
That's what's up.
They were open and on display yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
but now that I have a neat stand, I'm going to keep switching art every day.
Yeah,
So
like almost
obviously-
like a preacher stand.
Yeah.
Instead of a Bible, just have the portfolio on it. So you can
Right,
Just, like, look
exactly.
It up. That's,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Set up the day's hymn.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think that's how church works.
I think
But
so.
John, thank you so much for representing
It was
the
my
OMV
honor.
brand,
It was my privilege.
getting that information so we can recap it. Thanks for coming on today and giving us your Sunday night.
Yeah, cool.
A lot
It
of
was
fun.
Yeah.
I am equal parts jealous and envious and proud and all the different adjectives. And it's got me fired up. I'm glad that we were able to get to a new show.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Anything else? Anything else to wrap up?
Not
No?
at the
Yes?
moment.
Going once?
I'm-
Not at the
I'm-
moment.
I'm
Well, I mean, like, there's
Yeah,
some
who's gonna write the post this week?
There's one thing I want to pitch, but I'll put it on the Facebook page.
Facebook.com/opinions may vary, all one word. omvpodcast.com, that is the website where you can read our beautiful blog posts that accompany the episode. Twitter @OMV Podcast, YouTube @OMV Podcast, Instagram opinions may vary, all one word, no
Spaces or
no spaces or what's the word I'm looking for?
Underscore?
Hyphens or
Hyphens.
underscores. I was
Gotcha,
looking for an
gotcha.
H word. Go find us on all the social mediums. You can find John on his. Would you rather not plug your? Would you?
You can go on my Instagram.
Hey, it's
if you
John
want.
York. All one word, right? Hey, it's
Yeah,
John York.
Yeah, if you want.
You can go see some sweet customs. I believe the ones that you made for Alex and me are on there.
They are there.
My swole ass Darth Vader that you made me.
He's been hitting the gym.
And you can see John's post of his different spacemen.
His merch,
and the other person that replied to it.
right?
Good way to go
Yeah.
find their page.
Don't
I'm kind of jealous.
don't get too big for us, John.
I'll try not to.
Those
I'll
people.
keep my feet on the ground.
All right, I guess that's a good ending point. Thanks again, 5 Points Fest. It was a lot of fun. Thanks again to you two for telling me all about it, and all the people who got to hear third hand. Well, you guys told me. It's like you told me while telling them at the same time. So that's
Yeah.
gonna do it for this week. Until it's late. It's a late one. Until next week, I have been JR,
I'm Alex.
And I'm John.
and this has been episode 326. Damn.
My God.
Opinions may vary.